The day after I married Xiao Jinchuan, he left for the border. 6 months into my pregnancy, I received news that he had died in battle. I was grief-stricken, and my mother-in-law begged me to give birth to this child. After raising the child alone for 3 years, he came back with another woman. He took my child away and tortured me to death. He said viciously, "If you, Ru, weren't unable to bear children, do you think I would have married you?" In this new life, I directly sought a live-in son-in-law at the general's manor while carrying his posthumous child. 6 months into my pregnancy, news came from the border that Xiao Jinchuan had died in battle. In my previous life, I fainted on the spot. Disregarding my 6-month pregnancy, I cried and screamed that I wanted to follow him in death. My body was already weak, and then I went through the upheaval of losing my husband. I gave birth at 8 months, and my body was left with lingering ailments. This time, I already had a plan in mind, but I still had to put on a good show. I rolled my eyes back and pretended to faint. When I woke up, my mother-in-law was by my side. Her hair had turned white overnight, yet she was still comforting me. "Jinchu, the only bloodline left in our Xiao family is the one in your belly. I beg you, please give birth to him." As an orphan girl, if I left the general's manor, how could I still have this life of luxury? But I absolutely cannot let the ending from my previous life repeat itself. I spoke with difficulty. "Mother-in-law, the Xiao family only has us 2 women left. If there is no man to keep up appearances, the 2 of us will be bullied by others. Why not take in a live-in son-in-law, treat me as your own daughter, and my husband and I will take care of you till your final days." My mother-in-law was somewhat hesitant, but after considering it for 3 days, she still agreed. Xiao Jinchuan in his past life had counted on my weak and rule-abiding personality. He thought I would spend my whole life guarding the orphan and widow. Who knew his plan didn't even give his own mother a heads-up? The clan members were all eyeing the Xiao family. This big piece of fat meat. Naturally, they wouldn't agree to me taking in a live-in husband. His second uncle was the first to stand up. "I don't agree to taking in a live-in husband. Wouldn't all the Xiao family's property belong to an outsider then? You can remarry after giving birth to the child." I shot up with a whoosh, glaring at the useless second uncle. The Xiao family's fortune was all earned by Xiao Jinchuan, going to the battlefield at 16, accumulating achievements time after time. "May I ask what contribution second uncle has made to the Xiao family?" "Your debts at Yuchun House were all secretly settled by my mother-in-law. What right do you have to speak in our Xiao family? If what is in my belly is a son, then the Xiao family will be his inheritance. If it is a daughter, the entire Xiao family will be her dowry. Whoever dares to embezzle my Xiao family's property will go settle it in front of the authorities." He was stunned by my sudden move. Well, I had always pretended to be gentle and easy to push around. He pointed at me with his finger, so angry his beard was bristling. "You unfilial descendant, is this how you speak to your elders? Eldest sister-in-law, aren't you going to do something? She is going to poke a huge hole in the Xiao family." Although my mother-in-law was soft-natured, she wouldn't be vague on matters like this. Now our daughter-in-law has the final say. The Xiao family's servant sent the people away. Mother-in-law handed the household keys over to me. "I am old now. From now on, you'll manage the household. As for a live-in husband, just bring whoever catches your eye and show me." I already had someone in mind for a live-in husband. Half a month ago, I had already snatched a husband from under the examination rankings. I snatched a Tanhua who was parentless and poor, but truly handsome. The Xiao family were all military generals. Not a single one could study literature or read. Getting a Tanhua meant my son's studies couldn't go wrong in the future. Not even a month after my husband died, I had the live-in husband move in, all the properties and land deeds under the Xiao family's name. I took charge and changed them all to my name. After all, with only this one grandson left, mother-in-law didn't dare utter a single complaint. After the son was born, the Tanhua named the child Meng Mingjie, taking my surname. 3 years later, because of his premature birth, My son was physically weak and still couldn't speak clearly. Mother-in-law went to worship Buddha at the temple for a month, praying for blessings for the child. My husband took our son out. Only I remained in the entire Shao Manor. Looking at the plaque at the Shao Manor's entrance was truly an eyesore. I had craftsmen rush to make a Hmong Manor plaque overnight and hung it up, because today was the day Xiao Jinchuan would return with Xiao Yuro. In just 2 hours, Xiao Jinchuan, wearing coarse cloth with several patches on it, returned with the medicine woman Xiao Yuro. Yi had the servant boy block them outside the gate. He argued excitedly with the servant boy. Just 3 years, and all the manners he should have had were gone, leaving only a vulgar air. I want to see Meng Jinchu. Hurry up and call her out. We'll confront each other face to face, you blind dog slaves. I was wearing gorgeous clothes, my head adorned with precious jewelry, supported by a maidservant as I stepped out. The moment Xiao Yuro saw me, her eyes were filled with envy, but then she put on a vicious expression. She couldn't possibly think that all these things of mine should have been hers. Could she? Xiao Jinchuan hurriedly spoke up when he saw me. Jinchu, it is me. I am Xiao Jinchuan, I've returned. I pointed at him and said sternly, Summono, come quickly. Drive these 2 filthy scoundrels out for me. General Xiao has already died in battle 3 years ago. How can I allow you 2 vulgar ruffians to tarnish his reputation? Xiao Jinchuan tried hard to prove himself. I really am Xiao Jinchuan. Bring Mother out. Mother should recognize me. I let out a cold laugh. It seems this was premeditated, knowing full well my mother-in-law went to the temple to worship Buddha half a month ago. What are your intentions? Samanon, come. Beat these 2 out with clubs. Closing the gates of the Hmong residence, I felt very satisfied. Finally, it was his turn to experience such bitter days. In my previous life, on the day they returned, everyone rushed to the Xiao residence to visit him. Even my mother-in-law held Xiao Yuro's hand, thanking her for all these years of thoughtful care, completely forgetting our 3 years of hardship. The first thing Xiao Jinchuan said to me was, Yuro saved my life. She is a daughter from a good family. She absolutely won't be anyone's concubine. I promised her back then a lifetime together as one pair. So I can only wrong you for now by making you a servant in name. You are after all the child's birth, mother. The Xiao household will never mistreat you. No one stood on my side. Even my mother-in-law persuaded me. With me backing you up, what are you afraid of? My only grandson was born by you. You have the means to secure your place in this household. Although I was upset, I still nodded. At first, Xiao Jinchuan still came to my courtyard to put on a show, asking a few words of concern before leaving. The servants of the Xiao household were also snobs. The food they sent me was the worst in the household. I had no choice but to grow vegetables and cook myself, selling the extras outside. I got into an argument with a vendor on the street over a few coins. Xiao Jinchuan saw it and thought my words were vulgar, embarrassing him. He directly asked me to let our son be adopted by Xiao Yuro. He acted pitiful with me. To save me, Yuro jumped into the river in the dead of winter. It took a whole hour to drag me out. Her body was fundamentally damaged. She can't get pregnant. I want to make it up to her. I can only wrong you. Besides, Yuro is educated and sensible. She can better teach the child. What could I possibly learn from you? Some petty commoner's vulgarity. I had already lost my husband and was isolated and helpless in the manor. I could only agree until the end because Xiao Yuro was jealous that my son was always closer to me. She accused me of having secret meetings with outside men. Xiao drugged me, and Xiao Jinchuan and Xiao Yuro timed it perfectly to come in and catch me in the act. Xiao Jinchuan's eyes were full of viciousness as he had people drag me to the entrance of the Xiao Manor to make a spectacle. I was away from home for 3 years, and she alone managed all the household affairs. I don't blame her. Everyone in the capital praised Xiao Jinchuan as an honest and upright man, He gained a good reputation while I was scorned and called a slut. He imprisoned me in the dungeon of the Shao Manor. To let Sha Yuro vent her anger, they fed me pig slop every day. Whenever she was displeased, Sha Yuro would whip me. Finally, as I lay dying, Xiao Jinchuan stopped pretending. He glared at me viciously. If Yuro could bear children, do you think I would have married you? It is only because you are an orphan with no one to back you up, easy to manipulate. So it turned out he wasn't saved by Sha Yuro. It was all premeditated. I died filled with hatred. Recalling the suffering of my past life, I clenched my fists tightly with hatred. I widened my eyes to keep the tears from falling. They ruined my entire life. How could I not hate them? Xiao Jinchuan won't let this go so easily. He brought the good-for-nothing second uncle of the Xiao family. Second Uncle Xiao already looked down on me. Even if Xiao Jinchuan was fake, he would still treat him as real. Trouble delivered right to his doorstep, he would definitely muddy the waters. He brazenly had his servant smash the door open. I knew it, you venomous woman want to seize the Xiao family's fortune. Now that my own nephew has returned, you still want to bar him from entering. I rolled my eyes. What is second uncle talking about? 3 years ago, Xiao Jinchuan died on the battlefield. His body was brought back and buried in the Xiao family ancestral tomb. It was all verified before the officials. Could it be that our Xiao family committed the crime of deceiving the emperor? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Seems they had never thought about this point. Sha Yuro was still the quickest to think. 3 years ago, my husband suffered a head injury and couldn't remember many things, so he didn't come back. The body brought back then was also unrecognizable. How could they have confirmed it was my husband? I shot her a sideways glance, holding back my laughter. I only said Xiao Jinchuan's body was brought back. When did I ever say it was unrecognizable? Sha Yuro was somewhat flustered, forcing herself to stay calm. I just thought you all mistook him for my husband, not unrecognizable. Don't change the subject. Second Uncle Xiao also changed his attitude, sizing up the two of them with a different look. Xiao Jinchuan softened his tone. Jinchu, I really am your husband. Have you forgotten? We first met in the ruined temple outside the city. The human trafficker was going to sell you to an official as his 18th concubine. I was the one who saved you, brought you to the manor, and had mother teach you proper etiquette. I couldn't bear to let you marry into a poor family and suffer. Our hearts were connected, so we made a marriage agreement. If it weren't for receiving orders to lead troops into battle on the second day after our wedding 3 years ago, I would have stayed by your side and watched our child grow up. Come to think of it, the child should be almost 3 years old now. My eyes reddened, and tears flowed uncontrollably. Could you really be my husband? He was just about to step forward and embrace me. My mother-in-law's crying voice came from the doorway. My son, it is really you. Xiao Jinchuan had just turned around. Mi Tianhua also came back holding our son. Wife, the little rascal kept insisting on buying rouge for you and wouldn't let go. The atmosphere in the hall instantly froze. Everyone stared at each other wide-eyed. Mother-in-law was the first to react. She rushed over and hugged Xiao Jinchuan, crying, My son, you really came back. Woo-woo, how could you be so heartless, not coming back for so many years? Woo-woo. Song Juken held the child and stood beside me. He asked in a low voice, Is this my son's father who supposedly died long ago? I glared at him. Mingjie only has one father, and that is you. Who curses themselves like that? Xiao Jinchuan was so held up by mother-in-law that he couldn't free his hands. He furrowed his brows and sized up me and Song Juchen. His eyes were full of shock. After a good while, mother-in-law cried herself out. Sha Yuro squinted her eyes and spoke as if she didn't care. Is this young master Xiao's brother? Why is he so close with Sister Meng? Could he be Sister Meng's kept man? Everyone's eyes fell on us. Mother-in-law looked surprised and explained somewhat awkwardly. My son, 3 years ago news of your death came. Jinchu was pregnant and alone, fainting and waking. waking and fainting, leaving us widows and orphans. Mother-in-law glanced at second Uncle Xiao. Such a large family fortune had villains eyeing it. So I had no choice but to have Jinchu taken alive and husband, so that my grandson wouldn't be bullied by others. These past few years, Ju Chen has done very well, loving his wife and child, being filial to me. You should be grateful to him. Xiao Jinchuan's face turned completely dark. He said through gritted teeth, "So you are saying he married my wife, took my place, and I should thank him?" Song Juken was a civil official who never knew how to wield weapons. He pretended not to understand and waved his hand, saying, "No need for thanks. Jinchu is my wife. Mingjia is my son. Everything I do is what I should." The two stared at each other, the air thick with hostility. Second Uncle Xiao was grinning from ear to ear. "That is right. You took my nephew's place, and you expect my nephew to thank you. Jet out of the Xiao family now. This mansion still belongs to our Xiao family. Today, if you don't return the family property to my nephew, I won't leave. Let's take this to the streets and let people judge. Our Xiao family members are still alive. Sister-in-law may be confused, but we're not." Saying this, he even squeezed out a few tears. "Nephew, you've finally returned. You have no idea how this venomous woman has ruined the Xiao family over these years. When you were here before, how could I possibly not even be allowed through the Xiao family's front gate? These past few years, this venomous woman wouldn't even let me through the door. You have no idea how the people on the streets laughed at us." Mother-in-law instantly stopped crying. Second Uncle Xiao had been causing no small amount of trouble these past 2 years. This was already an absurd matter that should be discussed behind closed doors. With him causing such a scene, where would they put their face? Summon, gag him, and lock him in the woodshed. Mother-in-law raised her voice. "If anyone dares to spread word of today's events, don't blame me for not treating you well." Second Uncle Xiao's mouth was gagged, but he still shouted for Xiao Jinchuan to save him. Xiao Jinchuan hadn't yet adapted to this sudden turn of events. How could he have time to save him? Xiao Yuro was a bit scared, tugging at his lapel. Jinchuan was mother instigated by Meng Jinchu. "I am a bit scared. Will she tear us apart?" Mother-in-law let out a cold snort. "Still scared? You've got quite some nerve. If in today's situation, Jinchu hadn't taken in alive and son-in-law, wouldn't you coming directly to the door be forcing our hand? Don't act like a brothel girl. Xiao Jinchuan can't see through it. But this old woman can." Xiao Yuro's eyes reddened from being scolded, not daring to speak. The atmosphere became somewhat frozen. Only a few of us remained in the hall. Mother-in-law took the main seat. Xiao Jinchuan was just about to sit on the other side. He was stopped by mother-in-law's scolding. "Stand there." Then she showed me a smile. "Jinchu, you sit here." Mother-in-law is shrewd, a fence-sitter who sides with whoever is capable. In my past life, she could already see through Xiao Yuro's behavior. It is just that I was too weak back then. Now, all the farmland and shops are in my hands. To put it bluntly, Xiao Jinchuan's food, clothing, and expenses all depend on me now. Xiao Jinchuan was confused and raised his voice. "Mother, what are you doing? Your son just came back." Mother-in-law closed her eyes, continuously turning the prayer beads in her hands. "Kneel to Jinchu." Her voice was firm, even I was startled. I had someone pretend to be a fake monk to brainwash mother-in-law. Now it seems like maybe the brainwashing went a bit too far. One sentence after another left Xiao Jinchuan shocked and at a loss. Breathing heavily, his face turned green with anger. "Mother, why should I kneel to her? Because she gave birth to your son, raised him alone for 3 years, and kept such a large family estate intact. If it weren't for Jinchu, do you think that second uncle of yours is a good person?" Song Jushen quietly stood beside me. He silently spoke. "Although second uncle isn't a good person, he never defaults on debts. The gambling house comes to collect money every time. The petty cash at Yushun brothel doesn't count. After all, that courtesan even bore him a child. Half a year ago, his wife was screaming about breaking his legs. For the sake of family harmony, he fled to Beyonjo for 3 months and didn't dare come back. He only came back because the courtesan was about to give birth. And second, Uncle probably ran out of money. Xiao Jinchuan's face flushed red. He shouted at Song Juchen, "That is still our Xiao family's own business. Why is an outsider like you butting in?" Mother-in-law, still vigorous in her old age, kicked hard at his knees. Xiao Jinchuan knelt down in humiliation, gritting his teeth as he looked at me. Xia Yuro seized the moment to step forward and curry favor. She brought a bowl of tea to mother-in-law. "Mother, please don't get angry. It is bad for your health." Jinchuan just came back. Mother-in-law didn't even glance at her and refused the tea. She awkwardly set down the tea, feeling angry but unable to show it. Mother-in-law only focused on scolding Xiao Jinchuan. "As for the benefactor you brought back, our Xiao family can reward her generously, but as for anything else, don't even think about it." Jinchu and Juten just started living a good life. Better to tear down a temple than break up a marriage. Let her stay at the residence for now. If you want to marry someone else, you need to ask Jinchu's opinion. Although Xiao Jinchuan was unconvinced, he couldn't disobey his mother's orders. Song Juchen came to my room, hugging me and acting spoiled. "You won't stop wanting me now that he is back, right?" I wondered why he wasn't surprised to see Xiao Jinchuan suddenly return. He had a look of seeking credit. When I went south for flood control in the first half of the year, I saw him at the frontier. He never lost his memory at all. He was being all lovey-dovey with this woman. Extremely intimate. Completely forgetting he still has a wife and son. Moreover, the frontier people greatly admire him. He lied, claiming people in court were jealous of him, thinking his achievements overshadowed the emperor, which is why they wouldn't let him return to the capital. The frontier people only know Xiao Jinchuan, not the emperor in the capital. I always thought Song Juchen had a good temper. Didn't expect him to open my eyes today. He blew air into my ear. Even after spending 3 years together day and night, I still blush and my heart races from his little gestures. Catching a husband at the examination results posting back then was really good luck. He was ranked Tanhua, and even the Prime Minister had extended an olive branch to him, with the intention of making him a son-in-law. Because he had promised me, he flatly refused the Prime Minister. If I hadn't met the Prime Minister's daughter last month, and she mocked me with sarcasm, I wouldn't have known about this at all. He seems to not care at all about his official career prospects. But to say he doesn't care, even in extreme poverty, he'd rather eat cold, dry buns and live in a rundown temple, just to go to the capital for the imperial examination. I met his affectionate gaze. I couldn't help but kiss his cheek, slowly moving down, letting him leave marks on my neck. When the passion grew intense, his hands started to wander. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. "Jinchu, we should talk." Xiao Jinchuan's mood-killing voice rang out from outside the door. I pushed Song Juchen away. He panted softly, whispering, "Wife, ignore him." The knocking grew louder and louder, as if he would barge in if we didn't open the door. I straightened my clothes and went to open the door. Xiao Jinchuan's gaze lingered on my neck. His eyes were blood-red, as if they were about to shoot fire. "You too. What are you doing in broad daylight?" "I am still here, Meng Jinchu. I thought you were a gentle and refined woman, but I didn't expect you to be so shameless." Song Juchen didn't want to hear any more of this. "My wife and I have a marriage certificate stamped with the official seal." "What exactly do you mean, General Xiao? After you died, must my wife remain a widow for you her whole life?" Xiao Jinchuan rolled up his sleeves, ready to hit him. I quickly stopped him. If they really started fighting, Song Juchen would be no match for him. "Enough. Isn't this household chaotic enough already?" I calmly met his eyes. "Xiao Jinchuan, this is just normal bedroom intimacy between husband and wife. What else do you want to ask?" He was choked by my words, then immediately demanded the housekeeper's keys from me. "You've worked hard all these years. From now on, leave the household management to Yu Ru." I heard from Mother that our son is 3 years old and still can't talk. How have you been teaching him? Leave everything to Yuru from now on. She has at least had a few years of schooling. I laughed. She just had a few years of schooling, but my husband is the Tanhua. Do you think I've just been idling away these years too? Besides, why should she be the one to manage my property? He was about to retort. My son's crying suddenly rang out from outside the courtyard. Song Juken and I hurried out. Xia Yuru was actually reaching out to hit the child. She was still cursing viciously. You little mute. Just like your mom. Why don't you just die? While saying this, she pushed him toward the lake. Song Juken dashed over and kicked Xia Yuru away. He took the child in his arms and comforted him. My son was terrified, his whole body trembling as he cried. Only then did Xiao Jinchuan leisurely stroll out. He only spoke when he saw Xia Yuru had been kicked to the ground. What is the big deal? Yuru was just disciplining the child. Why are you all so worked up? The child has been spoiled rotten by you all. Hurry up and apologize to Yuru. His words made me laugh out of anger. Are you talking in your sleep? Me, apologize to her. Fine, just you, wait. I snatched the stick from the maid's hands and charged at her. The two of them didn't react in time. I raised the stick and started hitting, cursing as I swung. I'll apologize to you. Acting wild in my house, hitting my son. And you still want me to apologize to you? All of you get out of my house. Xiao Jinchuan snatched the stick away and shouted, You've finally shown your true colors. Yuru was right. You just want to seize our Xiao family's belongings. Xiao Yuru instantly became assertive, standing with hands on her hips to chime in. I asked second uncle, all of the Xiao family's properties are now under her name. Xiao Jinchuan glared at me. Hand it back obediently, and I might spare your lives. Suddenly, someone came from below saying His Majesty was summoning us from the palace. Xiao Jinchuan immediately smiled, swallowing up my family's property while I was away when second uncle told me. I didn't even believe it. Very well then, let's go settle this before His Majesty. His Majesty summoned us. Xiao Jinchuan brought Xia Yuru, while I went with Song Juchen for the audience. Most of the people in the hall were there to watch the spectacle. After all 3 years after I married, my dead husband actually came back. This joke was truly one of a kind in the capital. But surprisingly, the first person His Majesty questioned was me. In the Battle of Mingxi, little sister, your grain and supplies delivery was clever and timely. General Wei even praised you to me. What reward do you want this time? Xiao Jinchuan was so shocked he forgot his manners. His tone was even a bit stuttering. Sister? I curtsied and replied. It is all what I should do. How could I ask for a reward? The Empress Dowager smiled and beckoned me over. She affectionately held my hand. General Xiao probably doesn't know yet. This girl Jinchu is clever. 2 years ago, the Emperor and I went out incognito and encountered bandits. This girl was clever and saved me from over a dozen bandits. She didn't want money, and only then did I learn she was actually your former wife. And also Lord Song's current wife. I immediately took her as my niece. I curtsied to the Empress Dowager. It is because Auntie is blessed by heaven. I just helped out in passing. You are still such a sweet talker, girl due to the war. The Xiao family's shop business was all in decline. Grain prices kept dropping again and again, and many shops had to close. After this matter with the Empress Dowager, I leaped to become an imperial merchant, mainly delivering military provisions for the soldiers, and also sending some rare goods into the palace. These were enough to make me filthy rich. Even if competitors had complaints, they didn't dare touch me. Xia Yuru looked at me, her eyes full of jealousy. Xiao Jinchuan recounted my crimes to His Majesty, sentence by sentence. Your Majesty, during the years I was away, this vicious woman threatened my mother and together with Song Juken, seized my family's property. Pity me. Back then, I was ambushed by the enemy and fell into the river. lost my memory, and didn't return for 3 years. Your Majesty, you must seek justice for me. The emperor did not excitedly go up to greet him. After Xiao Jinchuan died in battle, the emperor directly appointed General Wei to lead the troops. General Xiao lost his memory. But didn't the person who saved you know you were General Xiao? Xiao Yuro hurriedly retorted. Reporting to your Majesty, this commoner didn't know General Xiao. The Empress Dowager curled her lips. Since it is the border region, who doesn't know General Xiao's illustrious name? Who hasn't seen General Xiao's true appearance? I think you either deliberately concealed it, or you are a spy sent by a neighboring country guards. Take this suspicious woman away and interrogate her thoroughly. Put her through all the punishments. If she still won't talk, then her words might have some credibility. Xiao Jinchuan was so frightened that he hurriedly knelt down. Absolutely not. Empress Dowager, if she goes through all the punishments, even if she doesn't die, she'll be crippled. The Empress Dowager said kindly, General Xiao, this Dowager should also thoroughly investigate your identity. After all, you've been away from the court for 3 years. Who knows what your intentions are now? What if you've defected, and the emperor lets you lead troops to battle, you turn around and attack us? No one can bear this responsibility. The emperor agreed. That is right. Someone come. Summon the imperial physician to examine whether General Xiao's head has really been injured. Xiao Jinchuan's face turned pale with fright. Others might not know, but how could I not know? His head was never injured at all. It was nothing more than the war being tough, and he wanted to slack off for a few years, and made me raise the child so they could skip the pain of childbirth. After returning, he could still get a good reputation for being injured for the country. They really had it all figured out. The imperial physician came quickly. Xiao Jinchuan reluctantly extended his hand. The imperial physician broke out in cold sweat. The emperor was somewhat impatient. Tell the truth. Your Majesty, General Xiao is healthy and strong, and there is not a single trace of injury on his head. In my opinion, the amnesia General Xiao mentioned doesn't exist at all. As soon as the words fell, Xiao Jinchuan completely panicked. Impossible. You quack, call Yuru here. She has been taking care of my health. The emperor suddenly laughed out loud. Good, someone come. Take him away and interrogate him thoroughly. Xiao Jinchuan was tied up with ropes. He suddenly started cursing at me. Meng Jinchu. You vicious woman. It is all because of you. It shouldn't be like this. Your Majesty, you've all been deceived by this vicious woman. Your Majesty, you must believe me. I absolutely did not betray. Xiao Jinchuan was locked in the dungeon. I brought food to visit him. He looked at me with joy. Does your Majesty believe me now? I told you, this life shouldn't be like this. Where is Euro? We've suffered in prison. Go back to the manor and make us some good food. Considering you are the mother of my child, I won't drive you away either. I set down the food box and took out the dishes mother-in-law made for him, 1 plate at a time. Still haven't given up, Xiao Jinchuan? Xia Yuro has already confessed. She said you coerced her into doing this if she didn't agree. You would kill her. So I came to ask you, did you really coerce her? Xiao Jinchuan's eyes widened. That slut! What coercion? She was clearly willing. If it weren't for her being unable to bear children, would I have wandered outside for so many years? I laughed. As expected, he is just a brute with no brain at all. Mother-in-law asked me to tell you that she will go to the temple to pray for your soul in the future, to atone for the crimes you've committed. What would you have done if I hadn't taken in alive an husband? Divorce me, marry Xia Yuro. Make her the main wife. Transfer my child to her, Xiao Jinchuan. What a vicious scheme you had. He kicked over the food box. That slut told you everything, didn't she? Get out of my way, I am going to kill her. He flew into a rage, his eyes filled with crimson. I had people stop him, gritting my teeth as I spoke word by word. Xia Yuro is already dead. She bit her tongue and killed herself after the second torture. Xiao Jinchuan, Do you have any idea how much I hate you? You ruined my entire life. Mingzhe was raised crippled, and even though he was clearly the general's son, he was assassinated, and his body left exposed on the street. You didn't even shed a single tear. There are plenty of cruel people in this world, but even a vicious tiger won't eat its own cubs. Have you ever felt a moment of remorse? You've been scheming step by step. From the moment you brought me back to the Xiao mansion, your every move was calculated. Xiao Jinchuan, I hope I never meet you in the next life. He was still struggling. No, this isn't right. Meng Jinchu, you came back too, didn't you? How is this possible? How could you have come back too? You should have been alone guarding mother and child, waiting for me to return. What right? Do you have to treat me like this? The Xiao family is mine. You should have died long ago. Don't any of you stop me. I want to see His Majesty and have this vicious woman killed. Song Juken told the emperor everything about what happened at the border back then. Then he rushed to bring ordinary people from the border to testify. Sure enough, it was Xiao Jinchuan himself, who said the emperor was jealous of him, that his achievements overshadowed the ruler. The border people were grateful for General Xiao's kindness, so they openly declared they only recognized Xiao Jinchuan, not the emperor in the capital. They even organized their own rebel army. The emperor was so furious he coughed up blood. He ordered immediate execution the moment Xiao Jinchuan died. He was still cursing me for being a cuckoo in the nest. He never knew where he went wrong. I let out a huge sigh of relief. Walking out of the palace gates, Song Juken was waiting for me while holding our son. As soon as he saw me, my son called out to me with a grin. Mother. I excitedly took him into my arms. You can talk now, Song Juken said with a grin. Wife, our son started talking early this morning. The first word he said was, Mother. I've also found a tutor for his early education. This kid is really tough. I can't bring myself to discipline him. I looked at him gratefully. He embraced us, mother and son. All right. It is all over now, from now on. Life will be peaceful and smooth. Let's go home. The corners of my eyes felt warm, and my son raised his hand. Mother, don't cry. Go home. I nodded heavily. Okay, let's go home. Song Juken's side story. I am the live-in son-in-law that Meng Jinchu recruited. Actually, I've always known her. During my days of poverty and destitution, she once gave me a meal. But back then, she wasn't dressed so lavishly, and she wasn't married yet. When she grabbed my arm and asked me if I would be a live-in son-in-law, I was completely dumbfounded. Your belly is already 5 or 6 months along. How are you going to recruit a husband? She wasn't sad at all. His father is about to die. I need to plan a way out for myself. By the time I came to my senses, I had already agreed to her. So much so that when the Prime Minister later mentioned his arrogant and extravagant daughter to me, I directly refused, citing that I already had a marriage agreement. After entering the Xiao residence, surprisingly, she never seemed sad when mentioning General Xiao, not at all, like a woman whose man had just died recently. But I found that I gradually fell in love with her. She was different from ordinary women. I watched her personally do the accounting with her big belly, while also managing so many shops. I wanted to share her burden. But she didn't care at all. Money earned by yourself is the most reliable. I am not tired. I admired her resilience. When our son was almost 1 year old, he fell ill. We searched every physician in the entire capital, but none could cure him. She personally studied medicine and cooked medicinal meals for our son. With nowhere else to turn, she carried our son and climbed Mount Putuo. 1 step, 1 kowtow. She said her son was her life. Perhaps her sincerity moved Buddha, and our son's illness gradually got better. It is just that he spoke much later than other children. She said, "It is fine, as long as he is alive." After going south for flood control, I finally understood why my wife wasn't sad at all about Xiao Jinchuan's death. It was also my first time seeing such a strong woman. After going back that time, I made up my mind that I must protect the two of them, mother and child, for the rest of my life. No one can hurt them.